Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something.
I wasn't expecting that
either. Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny, I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things. Of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
All right. So, last we spoke, there was an addict part that you'd gotten to know.
Yeah. Last time we spoke, it felt like I made leaps and bounds.
Mm-hmm.
And that went on for over a solid week. I felt like I had a really close connection. I started feeling this anxiety. And so I started, journaling and doing some IFS work with it in the morning. And I came to this place where I'm not 100% sure, but it really feels like the anxiety is not actually anxiety. It's only anxiety because I'm trying not to feel it. And so I think if I'm making a connection, so I could be stretching here, but as a kid, I was pretty, high energy, full of life, wanted to play, wanted to just go.
Mm-hmm.
And I was viewed as an out of control child by my stepfather. And so I was told this, quite often. And I also, was trying to seek, validation, attention, stuff like that as a kid. And I'm thinking that maybe I learned that feeling my core energy is like a bad thing. Like I shouldn't be feeling it, because if I'm feeling it, then if I'm expressing it, then I'm going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so anxiety builds up, and then I look through a kind of like a catalog every morning in my brain. What am I stressed about? And, there's living a life as a human. There's always plenty of things that you can identify as stressors.
Yeah.
And I can pick the most immediate thing and say, that's the most important thing. That's why I'm so stressed. But as of this last week, I started feeling oh, wait a minute. That's just my energy. And it goes from feeling like anxiety, like this clenching whole, this really anxious feeling that's in my gut. And then it turns into this, it's like butterflies of positive excitement.
Yeah.
so strange to experience. So I get that feeling, and I say, okay, is this just my energy? Is this just like me? And I basically built these neural networks to suppress that, and to feel like that just my energy is a bad thing. And so it's become automatic. And so every time I start feeling this energy inside, I get stressed out. So it's like they become, they fire together, they wire together.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Right.
And so everything was going really well over the past, week and a half or so after getting in touch with the addict. Then I started having this anxiety and thinking, okay, this anxiety isn't the addict. It's not, because I made the connection with the addict and I knew it wasn't coming from the same place. And it wasn't this runner, the one that's like, I got to perform for everybody. I gotta make sure I'm performing or I'm going to get abandoned. It wasn't any other part that I had before. And when I was just sitting there with it, it kind of ended up just being me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that there's a part of me that is very worried about feeling my own energy, and therefore turning that energy into anxiousness, into stress, into fear. And I just want to feel, not that I'm against that part, but I do want to feel just my natural energy. If that's what it is, man, that's a revelation, and it's crazy to be able to feel that and just live in that energy. I don't know. I can only catch it for like, a little while, a couple minutes here and there when I like really focus and I'm like, okay, what is it? Stress? No, it's not stress. That's me. And then, I'm on to, just like in meditation, onto the next part of my day and find myself, oh my God, I'm feeling this anxiety. Oh wait, it's not anxiety. I'm actually all right. I actually feel great. So it's very weird back and forth. I'm full of anxiety. I'm riddled with anxiety. Oh, actually, I feel great. This anxiety isn't even anxiety. It's all
energy, excitement.
It's all just energy, excitement, right? Just like of being alive. And so I watched that, and then I watched, how's the rest of my body feel? And does the rest of my body feel like, wow, I could jump up and down right now. I'll go play. I'll go do this and that, like I'm a kid. And I don't feel like that my facial expressions are childlike and enjoyment. And I don't feel like I'm running out to, it's like a tamed version of that childhood feeling of just like being just like elated, jumping up and down, happy, ready to go, heard some absolutely great news, and you can't contain the excitement. It's like a version of that that's brought down to like a more personal level just for me.
Yeah.
Instead of being like overtaking of everything. Does that make sense?
Yeah. It all makes sense, and it sounds awesome. I mean, to have that connection, feeling alive. That kind of, I think of it like a connection with the life of everything else going on, and having, like you were saying, that kind of personal version, or that more tame or kind of mature filter or perspective that it comes from. And then I hear that there's, of course, that other part that's just keeps seeing that as stress, fear, pain, not good, get in trouble.
Yeah. And so because I'm recognizing that part, and then I'm actually going into a place where I can just feel this feeling. I can just be me with my energy. All of a sudden pops up my addict, and it feels like I've been white knuckling.
Okay.
So it's wild in that way. Like that excitement needs to go somewhere, like I need to do something with it. so there's those two parts. Either it's really negative, and I'm feeling super stressed out, and I need to get rid of that feeling, or I've got this feeling that needs to be put somewhere in like some, I don't know, some consuming act.
Right. Okay. So the addict responds with addiction, and then the stress responds in its way, but they're both kind of responding to this, what feels like anxiety or nervousness, or sorry, excitement.
Yeah, it's really hard just to explain what that is, other than it's like this, just maybe it's the energy of being alive. I don't know. In my whole life, I've thought this energy of being alive is stress, you know, and torn myself up over this feeling. I don't know. I'm not familiar. Haven't done like, I don't know, energy work, but it's a definite, like a tangible, this is exactly that feeling, and it's there. And if I look at it and see that I'm stressed out, and I say, oh my God, what is it that's bothering me that I need to get rid of it? I need to get shit organized. I need to, take care of business. I need to fix a couple things, whatever it is, what's on my list, because if I can get through that list, then this feeling will go away.
Right.
But I've realized lately that that's not even what it is.
Yeah.
So that's the part that's saying, oh, this is, this manager needs to say, oh, we have to take care of that, and this is how we do it, and then in come other things, whatever other strategies are used to quell that or to manage it. And then if it can't be managed by doing these constructive things, then the addict will do it.
Right.
And so it's either the addict does it because it feels great, or the addict does it because they're completely overwhelmed, and the manager can't. The manager can't fix it.
Yeah. Yep. All makes sense to me. Definitely.
So it's just a wild ride to be like, oh yeah, I'm not stressed, and then all of a sudden have just like unquenchable thirst, for whatever addictive behavior, because the feeling is so similar.
Yeah. When you were describing these different parts, it sounds like, when you talk about the manager, for example, you talk about that as a part.
Could be managers,
Yeah, managers. You talk about those as parts, and you talk about the addict as parts. The anxiety, it sounds like, or the excitement, it still sounds like that is something that you're still trying to understand. Is this you were saying like, this is me, but you're not sure like what that really means, or what that if that's true, or you're not calling that a part, it sounds like, when you're describing it to me. So that sounds like,
because it doesn't feel like a part. And so
right.
I've done the work with what I thought it was, only to find out that the anxiety isn't even that. It's like an assignment. It's an assignment of that energy. So like we got to categorize it and take care of it.
Right. Yeah. So
like, I don't know, like these like base jumpers or skydivers or boulderers, right? The free solo climbers. Like these people often, I've watched a few of these documentaries, and often they're like, it's just the human spirit, fulfilling its capacity. And right at this moment, I just made that connection. Like maybe this is like what they mean by the human spirit, just having like, there's so much life, and all I've been doing is trying to suppress my own life.
Right. Yeah, there's so much life, and there is also so much to genuinely like be concerned about. You know, like even if everything's perfect, you got old age, sickness, and death.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think it's common in spiritual practices and just in general parts that are managers to want to make that go away and to see the end goal as being like, I'm someone who never feels that. You know, that's we kind of you know, it's common to like look at, again, kind of spiritual gurus or whatever, and see these people and think that that's the ideal, is like to never feel stress, to never feel really excitement.
Anything.
You know,
it's the middle path only, which is basically completely neutral to all.
Yes, and it kind of, you know, it's can be like a bypassing those feelings.
That's exactly it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so maybe, I don't know, I guess referencing still the same, it would be going into like the Buddhists making a proper cup of tea when you're making that proper cup of tea, you're not just focusing on the positives. You're not just swallowing in the negatives, but you have like open-hearted compassion, open-minded for everything, for all that life is, which would be all of the sick and suffering, all of the positives and enjoyment, all put together. This is life. And so maybe that more mature version of this energy that I feel, it's very similar to what I felt as a kid. And then it's very similar to what I feel all the time. It's like moving through these emotions as things come up and go away. It's like this same energy is interpreted in different ways.
Right.
Like it's the pit in my stomach. It's the butterflies in my stomach. It's the jitters. It's all of these things, impending doom. I don't know. All of it at the same time is like this central body energy, where it feels like it's like my energy center, rather than being my brain or my heart or whatever else. Just thinking like, oh, the central nervous system, the hub is the brain, but all of this energy, these feelings, are originating from my stomach.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's just, I'm sorry, I'm just smiling, like the idea of like the central nervous system, it's surprisingly nervous. You know, like it's a nervous system. Yeah, but I hear what you're saying about those parts that have their interpretations of it, and I don't know. It seems like that's where the work would be, is to keep working with those protective parts to help them and take that job away from them, so that they don't have to continue reacting and interpreting what this is, but they can trust you with it.
Right. Well, I mean, what feels like the natural course would be to, every time I recognize that feeling, to work with whatever's around it, whatever's closest to that feeling. So if I've got like this, if it's a pit of despair, that's the feeling that I have. I need to be working with what is the part, and how do I connect with just the emotion? How do I get back to that? That part is just me, and feeling that part and being in this moment with my energy. That's just like the current circumstance. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain that. But it feels like the only way, or like getting to a place of serenity, which is I guess a foolhardy goal, just staying in a place at all. But it's just understanding that that's me rather than I have to be something else. And
Right.
all the protectors are, how do I please these people? How do I make sure that I look appeasing to them? I'm making them happy. They're accepting me. They're not going to leave me. They're affirming me. And then when I'm not getting my needs met because I'm being whatever I think they need, then I'm meeting my own needs in a toxic manner. When really
Yeah.
I just need to get in touch and feel my feelings. Just feel that energy that's inside of me. It doesn't have to be positive or negative.
Yeah. That all makes sense. I have one more, just kind of a philosophical point here. Again, how you're describing these different sensations, you're calling this energy, you're saying that's me, and then you're calling the other parts. And I wonder if in a way that's kind of can set you up for problems if, like, all the parts are you.
Yeah.
And I think it's why it's helpful in IFS to have
say
the
self. That's
right.
Yeah. No, that's me. I'm misnaming. And I should have, if I can go back and repeat all of that, I would say, instead of that's me, I would say that's self. That feels like it's self, and it's just self energy. And self energy has been categorized and exiled by different parts according to the circumstances.
Let's look at the 8 C's of self and see how many of them apply.
Okay, so apply to what in particular?
Apply to this part that you're calling self.
Am I talking about just
that energy?
The energy, just the sensation in my core, I guess.
Which these other parts are reacting to, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Connectedness.
Yeah.
Creativity.
Absolutely.
Courage.
Without a doubt.
Confidence.
Mm-hmm.
Compassion.
Yep.
Curiosity.
Yes.
Clarity.
Yes.
Calmness.
That one is a little bit strange because
that is an interesting one for them to have on the list.
Yeah, it is like I guess maybe that's where it's like this mature version of that childhood elation.
Uh-huh.
And if I'm quiet and I just connect and I'm just in self, then it's calm, But if I'm not in self, then it's interpreted as many different ways. Yeah.
I'm just looking at that list, and I think it's kind of interesting that calmness is even on there. It kind of feels out of place in a way compared to some of the others.
Yeah, because there's
right.
There
like
is
to be excited is to not be calm, and that means you're not in self. So I'm not sure I so much agree with that one.
Yeah. And then there was the one just before calm. What was that one? Clarity. Because a minor issue with clarity is that I'm not 100% clear. I'm getting there. I'm working on it, but in identifying this internal environment for the first time, no, I'm not entirely clear.
Yes, I agree with you.
But it certainly feels much less muddled than anything else.
Right. It's interesting to have both clarity and curiosity on the same list. If you were 1,000% clear, would there be any curiosity left?
Right. And would there be parts? Or would you just be integrated? You'd all be just one. I don't know. It seems like that would be clarity.
All right. Well,
they kind of feel like the nirvana portion of enlightenment, just like, is that reality? Is being perfectly clear and perfectly calm reality.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Skepticism around that. Well,
but all of the rest was like an immediate, absolutely compassionate, creative, courageous. It was just one after another. I was like, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
It feels just that way, exactly that way. Like I don't know, like life energy. It's right. I just sound like a weirdo.
No, I mean, I don't know, maybe to someone, but it's affirming to me. It's really nice to hear. It's nice to have a conversation about these kind of things that I feel, and yeah, it's hard to have this kind of conversation with someone on the bus or at work. So maybe they would look at you like a weirdo, but I'm not.
So like right now, I feel like I'm in self. I feel connected. The calm, that's a tough one, man. Clarity, I would say, yes, I'm feeling my energy more clearly. It's not obstructed by parts determining what that means. So if that was clarity, I guess I'll qualify there. But give me like 10 minutes, right? And in 10 minutes or 15 minutes or who knows, 30 seconds from now, somebody comes knocking at my door.
Right.
The whole thing can fall right apart.
Sure.
Like that quickly, parts will jump in. I'm like, look at this, everybody. Look at what we're doing here. This is amazing. Mm-hmm. And then a millisecond later, somebody's like, oh shit.
Right.
And so it's like maybe that's where the addict comes in, because the addict in times of positive energy, maybe even if it's like unbridled, it's not like it's just is. Mm-hmm. Feels like this is how I can prolong it. This is how I can maintain it. This is how I can make it so it doesn't crash. Even though I know those things that it's 100% not true. If anything, it's the most abrupt crash I can possibly have. Yeah. But that's the compulsion of the addict.
Yeah.
It's either shit's so bad that you got to get out of there. You got to find some way to feel better, feel good, feel nothing, feel anything other than what you're feeling. Or shit's so good, it's going to fall apart soon. How about I do something to try to prolong that feeling?
Yes. I have my own addictive parts, and I know that frame that they put you in of if I'm feeling good, it's a good time to drink. If I'm feeling bad, well, that's a good time to drink. So I have a question. Would you say that these parts, the addict, the manager, it feels like they don't trust the
self?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's where I think it all kind of ties back to that early childhood experience of not being right, just being wrong in my energy, being somehow I don't fit, somehow whatever I am, it's too much for everybody else, or I'm not doing enough for everyone else, and so therefore that has to be managed.
Right.
And so that energy that is self is then deemed as inappropriate or appropriate depending on the situation, and then managed by these micromanagers down to the bone.
Yep. Yeah. So, I mean, this all sounds like great news to me, that how clear it all is. Again, kind of what I'm seeing is the work still to be done, which is building that trust.
Right. What that means to me personally is allowing myself to go into that energy, rather than continuing with the behavior of, oh my God, I got to fix this. Oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. There's something going on here. What is it? And then trying to find a stressor to identify or a list of them. Are you having an electrical feedback at all?
I'm not hearing anything, but I know sometimes when I lean on the microphone a certain way, I might cause it.
I have hearing aids, so it might be something going on with my hearing aids. Strange. Where was I? Oh,
you were saying about
a
solution is to be in that space more, and I was going to offer.
I'm gonna finish that one.
Mm-hmm.
And so, okay, I'll identify. Sure, I can identify things that need to be taken care of, because if I know I don't take care of them, things could get out of control, and that's not what I want. And so, sure, I'll take this moment with this energy as a reminder, this manager as a reminder that there are some things that need to be taken care of. I can make a list, and then I can be with my energy in my list and be like, okay, now this is my energy right now. And here are some things that, yes, I do need to do, because life is life. Feeling this feeling doesn't mean that everything else is out of control. This is just me. And the weirdest part is that every time I recognized the feeling and I said, wait a minute, that's not anxiety. That's just me. What I mean to say, I guess, is that's just self. It immediately switches. Immediately. And what always happens with that switch is my abdominal muscles relax.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And it's immediately. It's like the cure-all. I'm not trying to promote it that way, but every time I feel that anxiety, and every time I'm feeling that addictive craving or anything that I'm feeling, and I'm like, oh, here's this pattern again. How am I going to get out of it? Or here's this pattern again. How do I deal with it? Rather than going on a self-destructive adventure, just saying, oh, wait, that's not whatever I think it is. That's not whatever my part is telling me it is. Right. That's just self energy. And then boom, everything else just completely softens, including my muscles actually soften. My breath softens, everything just becomes so much lighter. And I feel that energy, and the energy feels good. It feels like, I don't know how else to explain it. It's like life. It feels like I'm alive.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's where I am.
So you have that insight and that tool of what you're kind of reminding parts.
I'm not a fish. Did you see that? The TikTok about the hiccups. You get hiccups for some reason. People are saying that hiccups track back to a time when we were fish, and they're something to do with our gills, and the hiccup was something I don't really know what it was, but in the TikTok somebody's saying that once you have a hiccup, all you have to do is remind yourself that you're not a fish, and the hiccups will go away. So that's my reminder. I'm not a fish, but really it's that's self energy.
Right. Okay. And so that's one tool you have to address the protectors when they show up. But you're also saying that
they have something important to say. Yeah.
They do have something important to say, but also when they show up in a strong way, when you get that knock on the door or whatever, it can still be a big swing to them taking over, right? Yeah.
And then it can be, an indefinite amount of time before I realize again, that's that's what I'm doing. That's the feeling I'm feeling. That's why I'm on this autopilot to go take care of all this other shit or whatever it is.
Right.
But yeah, the important thing is like, oh, okay, so I've got the manager, and the manager saying this equals this task list. Okay, well that's really good. It's really good to take care of that task list and, you know, maintain up to date. Otherwise, I will have extreme anxiety. But I'm having extreme anxiety when things are not nearly falling apart. Mm-hmm. And it feels like the world's falling apart, and it's not even that feeling. It's just my manager overreacting to my life energy self.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. I think that's as clear as it gets, is that they're overreacting to the inability to trust the self to be okay.
Right. And so your next steps to helping build that trust?
I'm going to say continue making that connection, sitting in I guess you could say, in the seat of self, feeling the energy and listening to what each of my parts has to say in the moment, and then acting appropriately. And so, you know, when the addict says, oh, this is what you need, I've already had that connection. And so I already know that the addict just wants a personal connection, wants intimacy. And that intimacy can be straight from the self.
Right.
And so rather than having the addict kind of like step on it and go find something, it's me sitting in the seat. I like that, sitting in the seat of self, and then having my council of parts, you know, and taking care of them.
Right. Yeah. What's your I know you do journaling. I know you have a lot of practices. What do you have, like a daily practice of what we're talking about right now, of just like sitting and checking in with parts in an explicit way, rather than waiting for them to show up and then reminding yourself?
So that's the default for every morning. Is okay. So if there's nothing pressing, that's like, this is exactly what needs to be addressed first, then it is. I go through, like you say, a Rolodex, but for me, it's just a list, and I go through my list and I write each one down. And as I'm writing it down and looking at it, and I'm picturing it, and then I'm trying to make contact with it. And if there's something there, then I'll sit with it for a little while and even write. If I need to have connection, like a communication, then I'll write what it's communicating and write my communication back and forth. But most of the time, when it's like, oh, I'm not really having any really strong emotions right now, other than this anxiety, now I'm feeling like, oh, that's just this like really secretive part, not secretive, but really proficient part that is trying to control how my energy is received, how it is felt by the parts inside. I don't know, that kind of thing. So now it's like, oh, that right there. So this is just over the last couple of days. And at the same time, like I said, there was like, as soon as that manager was like, oh, as soon as I'm like, oh, this manager is not, that's not self. This anxiety is actually just self energy, and this manager has deemed it to be negative, and that's why I'm going off the rails. As soon as I pin that down, that like whole spectrum of life has completely changed, where it's like, am I stressed? Not really. Like, just take care of my shit. Like, I'm absolutely fine. Like, it'll all be fine. I'm good. And am I worried about, what my wife thinks about my opinion? Not so much anymore. Why would I need to be worried? That's my feeling. That's how I feel. And it's my opinion. I'm a valid person, So that whole side of life where it's like, walking on eggshells and worried that like, you know, the I don't know, the whole structure is going to fall down because bills, because whatever projects. It just feels so much easier. But then at that exact moment, the addict's like, oh yeah, this is really great. This is really great. Let's take that a little further, or let's prolong it. And
Right.
so it's just that I have to just continue these relationships and keep showing that, oh, okay, so the addict thinks that this is what needs to happen. Thank you for your input. I already know what it needs. That we've had a really deep conversation, the addict and I.
Uh-huh.
And so I know it just needs me, just needs self.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's more just like allowing the feeling to be the feeling, allowing the feeling to be of self, to be everything, just to be it.
Yeah.
And not have to put it somewhere else.
Yeah. All right. You win.
Well, that was the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. You did it.
All right. I already know that with every push forward, there are unforeseen setbacks. So
Sure.
that just means that I have to be aware over the next, so many days that there will be things coming out in ways in which I'm acting that are not in line with exactly what we're saying right now. And those parts need attention.
They need attention, and I think the only thing I just want to encourage you, and it sounds like you're doing it, but I'm encouraging you, I'm encouraging myself, anyone else who might hear this, is just to be proactive about that. If the addict shows up every night at 10 o'clock or whatever, and you're in a reactive way, then yes, we need to put that on the list to let's check on this addict when I'm
right,
fresh
or
in the morning.
Or it's like
I need to go to him rather than wait for him to come to me.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I've got, my buddy who's coming home from work, my roommate, whatever. And I know that when they come home at this time, the day has been stressful, and it's time for me to just be open and accepting and loving and kind and caring, compassionate.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. I don't have any I don't know where to go next, because it sounds like you're doing it all, and it sounds like it's working. So it's awesome.
It only works as much as I can access self energy, right?
Right.
So it's just about the awareness, the diligence, the commitment,
Yeah. And you're doing so much in your inner work, and you're also, you have these external relationships that you're dealing with, and I really like hearing about that, and I'm curious how that goes for you, whether it's your wife, your job, kids. I don't have those things, so for me, I have my relationships, but I'm not in it with as many people, and so I don't have as many opportunities to do this, be in self, and then work with someone else and see how that goes.
I'll tell you one thing is that if you've established a very long history with somebody in relationship, and you have not been in self very much over that prolonged period of time,
right?
Being in self is very scary for them.
Right.
It's like, wait, this is not the pattern I'm used to. These are not the defenses I'm used to.
Right.
All of a sudden you're calm, and guess what? When somebody sees me as calm, when I should be acting, or I used to act, in a antagonistic way or very defensive way, all of a sudden it looks to somebody else as if it's better than You know,
Right. And I think people who are like in recovery, people who are former addicts or whatever, they know that very well. I mean, I know that specifically around like, yeah, if all the friends I made and kept were drinking buddies, yeah, like they didn't stick around when I quit drinking. But that would also go for any part that is dominating our personality. You know, if you're super manager, get things done person, and then that part's able to relax, and you come into more self energy. Well, the people who were, you know, those relationships that were formed, they were making a relationship with that part of you, and now that
Right.
part of you is like, I'm in the background now. So yeah, it's definitely could be
more
very
of just
very
it's more of just
disruptive.
like a supportive role now. Like it just shows. It's just a counsel. I like that.
Right.
That is how it feels. Yeah. So, and that's where, you know, that just like the parts don't trust the self, outside relationships don't trust the self.
Right.
They see it as, wait, this isn't what I'm used to. These aren't the patterns, you know, and so therefore this is manipulation.
Right. Right. Especially if they don't have their own, if they're not doing their own inner work and having that connection with their selves, then it would be even more foreign to them. I mean, we all have self, and we all touch into it sometime or another, even if accidental. But yeah, it can be more and less threatening to others who, you know, depending on their relationship with their self. Yeah. But it sounds
Nice,
to me
James.
like you don't have a, you know, you're not like, oh crap, like that, like there's some big regret or something, like, oh, you know, I've done this work and now I'm screwed because I can't get along in the world. And it's like, no,
No, it's like the
a better
opposite.
place to be. Yeah.
Right. It's like remember that very first conversation I had with you? I was like, where's the self-love? You know, like, it's interesting you say that, you know, that's not in IFS, but there is self. And I'm like, well, how are you okay with self? Like, how do you just like live and be okay in yourself? Like just being fine, being you. And this is it, man. This is it. Just a few months later, I'm hearing myself describing being okay with being in myself, and I'm feeling it. It's wild.
It's beautiful.
Not having to worry about what everybody else thinks, because I know I'm doing what is good rather than, you know, what feels good.
There's
I know that
clarity.
everything's just like, it's no big deal. If this doesn't work out, then it's because it doesn't work. It's not because I made mistakes in how I
because you're defective,
right?
Because you're unworthy,
right?
Right.
Yeah. And it's a combination. That every relationship is a combination, and rather than me thinking it's all on me to like make sure it works, make sure it doesn't fall apart. Rather it's not. It's two people coming together, and if I'm not a whole person, like I haven't been, I'm just these parts working at one at a time or two at a time.
Right.
That's where the relationship falls apart.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I hope you keep me posted, keep me informed. I hope we can continue finding ways to work together and everything.
Yeah, man.
You know, it's kind of a frontier for me in a lot of ways. You know, just okay, like now what? You know, you've done your IFS work. I've done my IFS work. You know, like I've changed a lot of these relationships with my parts. Now what? So
Right. And
excited about
that is that feeling. That's the, okay, now I'm here with my energy. And
right.
and what do I do with this energy? And that's where it's like, oh, these people, they take that energy and they're like, well, what's the maximum this energy can achieve? You know, and they're like, let's go develop this new extreme sport of base jumping or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I'm sure we can find other extreme. I mean, we can find other extreme sports.
Yeah,
of our
no,
own,
that's
I think.
an extreme. I'm just saying like that. I think
we're doing that right now.
Yeah.
What I see.
What do I do with that energy? Well, I
Yeah.
can live a good life. I can live a great life.
Yeah. And we're making an attempt at sharing it publicly, which I think doesn't hurt. We'll find out.
Awesome, James.
Cool.
All right, man. I'll
Hope to
get
hear
back
from you
on there
again
and
soon.
schedule again. Yeah.
All right, man. Have a beautiful day.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows? That might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube. And they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.